Now, what do you kind of think about what he can bring to this group?
A veteran leader. I think Elfrid has been in the NBA for 8+ seasons. It's crazy that he and I were teammates his rookie season in Orlando. So just really good to have him with our group. He's a hard worker. He's knowledgeable. He's tough. He can run the offense, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun to get him on the floor and get him going.
What do you remember about him as a teammate, of what he was like to play with?
He's extremely mature coming in as a rookie. He was a leader from the very start. He still is. And you know, he picked things up quick. He played with toughness. He's got his teammates involved. He's good, really good defender, and a lot of future coaching qualities in him is what I see.
And the hair was a little different back then too, right?
A little bit, just a little bit, just a little different, yeah.
When he played here, I remember he talked to basketball all the time. And you get a sense from him when you were a teammate that he's just like a basketball junkie. Like he's just really into the game overall.
For sure. He comes from a sports family. I know his mom and dad pretty well from spending a year with him in Orlando. Obviously, Elfrid being here from New Orleans. This is fun. It's fun for him. It's fun for us. We're excited that we could give him an opportunity with our group. And to your point, he's a sponge. He picks everything up pretty quickly.
As far as Sunday goes, will that look like Monday's game in that 20 minutes range for the starters?
It'll be close. It'll be close. You know, I haven't talked about it yet with our group, but you know, 20, maybe 22 to 25 at the most. Yeah.
And are most of the regulars planning to play?
So far, that's the plan. Yeah.
The other day you talked about in 4-5 pick and rolls, it allows maybe smaller guys to be help defenders and not the big to track Zion in those situations. Do you think that sort of chess game has become more common in the league, where they're trying to manipulate who the help defender is, maybe putting small in those positions?
For sure. I think when you look at the end of game scenarios, especially with some of the top teams, they're hunting a matchup, and their primetime players are they're watching film, they're trying to figure out who can I take advantage of offensively. I think it's becoming more of a part of especially end of game scenarios.
Yeah, it seems like teams used to maybe attack the weaker defender like directly in one-on-one situations, and now it seems like, no, maybe we'll take the stronger defender away from the paint and then we'll leave the weaker defender in a help situation. Like, do you feel like that's more of a trend these days?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mix and match. You know, you have some teams that will put their best defender on their opponent's weaker offensive player, and they'll go roam and go help and force the ball to go to that player. You have some teams that do the opposite, and it's just preference. It's what you work on. It's kind of what that team, what your principles are and your concepts are. But we're seeing a little bit of both, for sure.
Willie, how did you treat practice today, considering today was supposed to be a game day?
We tried to treat it similar to a game, split the teams up as even as we could, and got up and down, and it was competitive. Really fun practice. Guys are going hard. They're competing at a high level. They're picking up a lot of our concepts, and they're applying it to in-game situations.
And you brought up end-of-game situations. How much has that been a focus for the past few weeks, knowing that was a source of frustration last year?
It's definitely a focus. It's a focus starting with me, you know, just talking to the team and having a responsibility of knowing that's an area where I need to improve, and it's an area that we have to get on the floor and work on constantly, getting into our spots, getting the ball to the right guy's hands at the right time.
What ways do you want to kind of improve in those situations?
The more we can identify what our problems are, and the more we can identify, you know, how to solve them. And for me, it's just getting out in front of it, letting our team know this is where we are, and this is an area that if we improve in this area with all the other things that we do well, you know, the margins may be 2, 3, 4 more wins this season.
How much can DeJounte help in those situations specifically?
I think he can help a ton. I think last season he might have hit 3 or 4 game winners. Ball's in his hands, he gets to his spot, he raises up, and he's confident in knocking those shots down. So we'll rely on him, but it's going to be a group effort of us moving the needle in that area.
For you, what's the balance between letting him see what's happening on the court versus play calling in those end of game situations?
Yeah, you just for me, it's really about creating that environment, that in the game environment. That may be one set, but there's so many reads out of one set that guys can get to. So it's exhausting all of those options, trying to get a play started at the right time, knowing what shots we want to get, knowing what we want to stay away from, and constantly talking about those different concepts.
Your first year here, you guys played San Antonio in that play-in game. DeJounte was on that team. What was he asked to do? What was his role in that San Antonio team compared to what you saw him do in Atlanta? How are those two things different, when you look back at that?
I think San Antonio, he was more of, their clear-cut point guard, leader. They played a lot through him, and he made that team go. And they were extremely successful because they trusted in him, and he kind of had free reign to do what he needed to do on that team. I thought when he went to Atlanta, it was a balance. It was a balance of there's times where I have the ball and I can determine what we do offensively. There's times where I have to be able to play off Trae Young, and I thought he did a really good job of doing that. And then defensively, he's always been solid since he's come in the NBA.
And in this situation, which one is it now?
I think because of his experience of doing both, it'll be more of a balance this season, where he definitely will have the ball, but he knows that he's got a ton of weapons around him. And so there's times Zion will have it, there's times B.I. have it, and we're going to need him to do both. Be the leader that he is with the ball, and be ready to make plays when he's off the ball a bit.
He said multiple times, I feel like my job is to just make everything easier for everybody else. How much do you get a sense of how much he's in? It just seems like he's really enjoying the position that he's in now in terms of situation of being able to kind of set up people for open shots.
It's so true. It's who he is. It's who he's been since he's gotten here, and he's making everybody's job easier. He's a really good communicator. He wants this. He wants our team to be better. He wants to be a major part of it, which he is. And you just need more guys like DeJounte, guys that just buy into what we're trying to do. We're all open, honest. He's holding himself, his teammates, coaching staff, all of us accountable. And I think that's what really good teams to great teams, that's what they all do.
Have you seen him kind of strike that balance? He talked about, understanding that, hey, these guys have won before I got here, Z and B.I. were the faces before I got here, but knowing that you guys really want him to play an important role on and off the court.
I think it first starts with, he has to be himself. That's what's gotten him to this point. That's how he's been able to be successful on the teams that he's been on. And then, to your point, it's a balance in that. It's a balance of, do I have the ball in my hands? What do I do offensively when I don't have the ball? Defensively, for everybody on our team, there's a standard that we want to set, and we don't want to drop below that. And just keep communicating, keep growing your relationships with, all of our players and staff, and sky's the limit for our group.
In that Orlando game, you guys were out-rebounded, but you won the possession battle in large part due to steals and turning the ball over less. Is that going to have to be the blueprint, knowing that you might be smaller than a lot of teams?
I don't know if that's the blueprint. I think we will have some games like that. We want to win the rebounding battle. We want to turn teams over. We want to get deflections and steals and ignite our break. So we want to be good at both. And but we do understand there will be nights where we come up short, maybe in the rebounding battle, and hopefully we can gain extra possessions by turning teams over.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.